Have you here with us on our morning show as we continue with Tobago Thursdays. And in the last conversation talked about luxurious eating experiences, and we get ready to talk about the festivals and the activities happening in Tobago that can be luxurious as well, because when we talk about the arts, especially when Team TPAC takes over, we cover everything from dance, performance of the whole, dance, singing, theatrical, everything is a part of their productions. I'm very excited about this upcoming conversations, really and truly.
I'm excited as well. I saw a lot of some of the members from TPAC posting on social media clips of performances, photos as well, and it looked like it really was a wonderful experience. Also, of course, we had a masterclass. People were able to learn so much, and it's great to see that continued investment by TPAC in the performing arts. If it's one thing that we do see consistently is that representation, which we need to continue to, of course, push and celebrate.
And granted that we had that change in the Tobago calendar with the Jazz Fest moving and multiple events coming up to fill those spaces, if you will, it is beautiful to see that there are so many talented persons that we can still see at the forefront, not just representing for Tobago specifically, but the region altogether across a number of genres and the distinctions, if you will. Because when we talk about dance, a lot of the times we think folk, yes, we think of maybe the ballroom, but there is classical, there is quite a bit of ethnic dance as well. The entire spectrum is explored, and that is just dance. When we get to performances, we also have another massive pool of persons to choose from. We get into instruments, and it's incredible as well. So TPAC continues to do incredible work and needs to be supported so that the conversation will give us the room to also understand the success that they've already had and how we can build on that this morning. At least that's what I'm aiming to get out of them. The culmination of the actual festival, though, was something that I also want to get into because it's such a complex delivery when you have to fuse all these parts of entertainment. How do you let one shine and then give the other equal space? How do they compete against each other or collaborate? The preparation and the mechanics behind it as well. Because what I found in speaking at the 40 under 40 with students, yes, they want to be part of the entertainment industry, but don't necessarily understand the work behind the scenes. And I hope to get a lot of that out of the Ojay, of course, because he's the orchestra coordinator, and Tinielle in terms of the marketing and the strategic part behind things as well. Should be a good conversation.
But as you mentioned, that the work that goes into it, because at the end of the day, we see this finished product. We see incredible dancing, we see incredible performing, musicians, but the hours, the time, the dedication that goes into it. And I'm interested in seeing as well with your conversation, the mechanics behind it, because there was so much going on during this festival. So to be able to successfully manage that and for everybody to have a great experience, that is something that is so important. You know, one of the beauties of TPAC as well, I definitely just want to touch on, is the fact that it gives a space for performers to actually live their craft and work their craft full time. We see so many who continue to split their time between performing and, let's say, corporate, such as we would have just seen with Kania doing corporate, and of course her incredible, well, now full-time head chef and her incredible company as well. So hats off to TPAC for that. I'm really looking forward to seeing what took place at the Fource Festival and what they have for the future as well, because you realize it's one thing, TPAC is always on at least every few months to talk about, we have this initiative coming up, we have this performance, we're recruiting. So it's good to see that continued investment, and especially for our beautiful small sister isle.
I'm not surprised though, and I don't think that you are either, that we're going to see them continuously every month, because the thing about it is succession planning is another part of the thing that we don't focus on enough. Many industries often suffer from that, where we have all this energy and all this excitement now, and then next quarter there's no action, there's no follow-up, there's nothing built out of that previous level of enthusiasm, and we have to continue to do that, consistently delivering in any industry. The same going for sport, y'all. But we'll get into that a little bit later on. Hopefully we'll be able to explore that and more, but let me see if Team TPAC is with us this morning, because as promised, we are trying to talk to Mr. Ojay Richards, the Orchestra Coordinator for the Tobago Performing Arts Company, alongside Tinielle Des Vignes-Hill, the Communications and Marketing Manager for TPAC as well. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Good morning.
Always a pleasure to have TPAC on the scene because we have been buzzing about the Fource Festival. It was deemed, and as I'm quoting here, a groundbreaking event celebrating dance, drama, music, and film. And the culmination of that event was talked about for days. So I'm going to ask first off to get a little bit of a recap, if you will. And since we go with ladies first, Tinielle, if you could tell me from the back end of things a summary, if you will, of that incredible festival happening, or that happened on June 1st.
Certainly, and first of all, thank you so much for having us on here. I mean, the grind is still going with Fource because the journey is far from over. But I was listening to the conversation, and you're right, Fource was really envisaged as something that's more than entertainment, but really a catalyst for meaningful dialogue in the performing arts sector, especially because, as you talked about, we have to look at sustainability in the sector. What are we doing next? Are we ready to compete on a global level? So Fource really looked at the 4 different performing arts areas that the Tobago Performing Arts Company focuses on, which is dance, drama, music, and film. And as you rightly noted, it was a mix of entertainment. Yes, we had an amazing finale concert that left people absolutely thrilled. But more than that, we also had critical panel discussions about the future of the arts, what it would take for us as individual artists, members of the government, as well as the business sector, to really look at the performing arts sector as something that could contribute to Tobago's and the nation's economic development.
Beautiful stuff. Now, Ojay, we've talked enough about that grand finale. Could you tell me a little bit, as the mastermind behind it, as to what it took to take us to that moment, and perhaps some of the standout performances therein?
Sure, no problem. So good morning again. My name is Ojay Richards. Just speaking quickly, I think the big finale at the end was really successful, but the work that was put into it really tells to the success that it was. We had about 3-4 weeks of preparation. This is with musicians from Tobago, very, very talented musicians from all over the country of Tobago. And we had also one violinist from Trinidad by the name of David Frank. But all these musicians are really capable in their own craft. But what I say would have stood out for me is we wanted to allow some of these musicians to present their own music, their own things that they come up with on their own. So we wanted that moment to give them the spotlight, to still show that they can create and have that platform to show what they created on their own. So we had persons like Anikwa. She sang her own song she composed. Jared Balfour, he did a pan piece that he composed as well. Jamwa was on the drums. We even had the drum. We had the drum kit roll out to the center of the stage and the spotlight down on him, and we had him sing his own piece, his own original piece. And I thought that stood out for me, allowing these musicians, while they are working together, working as a group, we still gave that moment to them to get that spotlight moment to show that they can think on their own. They have their own things coming without TPAC, and that's the purpose of TPAC as well, to just kind of nurture and grow artists and send them out into the world and have them create and present their own music while still showcasing what we have and what we can come together and put at TPAC.
A seamless synchronization, if you will, a little play on the name there. Because when you talk about merging different types of performances, we know there's a lot of work in there. But beyond performances, Tinielle, coming back to you, there was also the panel discussion, as you mentioned, and a few other facets to the Fource Festival. How do you think that impacted the attendees? We know the performances are going to move them, but being involved in the panel discussion and those other entities, what was the purpose and the impact of those?
Well, for us, the response from the attendees, first of all, was, let me say, pleasantly surprised and awakened. Now, like you were talking about earlier with your co-host about having jazz and carnival and this filling the gap, we actually see this as not just filling the gap in entertainment, but having deeper conversation around the arts that people never really thought about, but that we need to think about. So, for instance, the panel discussion that we had, the main panel discussion that was live streamed on our Facebook, was a multidisciplinary panel discussion featuring TPAC'S leadership, like our CEO, Jared Primer, our artistic director, Rayshon Peck, but also the general manager of Music TT and Marlon DeBeek, the CEO of Naparima Bowl, because we really wanted to challenge persons to think about how they look at the sector. To think about, are you really serious about monetizing it if it is that we're not looking at things like digitalization, marketing, getting our music just online as individual artists, elevating our crafts is not just about choreography, yes, or the notes and the music you learn, but also things like strategy about how to get grant funding or to even fund your tours, etc. So people got more than they bargained for, I would say, at Fource Arts Festival.
I'm happy to hear that. One of the things that we remarked amongst ourselves, between ourselves rather, Natasha and I, is that we always have something on the calendar coming from Fource. So I'm going to come back to Ojay a little bit, just because coordinating that orchestra must be quite the feat, but you seem to top it yourself every time. What can we look forward to on the future calendar of events that you'd like to share with us this morning, Ojay?
Well, speaking of coordinating the orchestra, it's all about time and time management, and being able to manage my time, and then having a team working with me, a successful team working with me is what I can make it available for me to have this. One thing I wanted to jump in that Tinielle didn't mention was part of the discussions as well. We had some master classes. So instead of just coming to a concert and just enjoying the music that we put forward, we also help the audiences come and work on their craft. So we had a business master class. We named it Mind Your Business. That was by Melissa Jimenez. She's basically challenging the persons to think outside of, yes, you have a talent, but what are you doing with it? Because there are 150,000 talented musicians, talented artists in Trinidad and Tobago, but how are you making your talent put forward internationally? And we also had a masterclass by Sharon Phillips on how you present yourself on stage. And I think that was good for us to step aside from just the music and the performance part of it and set along and say, how can you make this work for you? How can you make a living out of this? Because I heard you mention earlier about what students do after school, and that was my thing. Before TPAC was created, I was thinking to myself, okay, I went to UTT, I did my degree, I got my degree, now what do I do? Do I go and work in an office 9 to 5 as an accountant or something? Because is there things available for me? And fortunately enough, TPAC was created. And so as the question you brought before, what we have in the future, we have a lot of things guarded for the future, but one thing I'm excited for coming up in the August holidays we have is Creative Calabash. That's a summer camp, so we want to nurture our children from young, bring them into the TPAC space and have them build their capacity, whether it be music, dance, drama, or film. And we want to take that from young and work on them, work on the craft of the students in Tobago from young. So that summer camp is something that's a big ticket that we're looking forward to coming up in the summer holidays.
Right, well, the Java will be blazing hot with TPAC on its tours. Always looking forward to whatever initiatives you all champion. It's beautiful stuff. And so this morning we say thank you very much for joining us to give us this update. We'll talk to you before the August vacation, yeah? Of course, Ojay Richards, the Orchestra Coordinator for the Tobago Performing Arts Company, and Tinielle Des Vignes-Hill, the Marketing and Communications Manager, joining us to give us a little bit of a recap here on the Now Morning Show. Guys, we're going to take a break, but when we come back, we get you moving. Stick around.